Hey guys, so recently I brought an updated Cyber Dragon deck profile for post-Duelist Nexus format, and so basically I made a slight tweak in terms of the deck list. You can definitely check that deck profile video out, just in terms of, the reasoning for card choices and everything. I won't go through that here, but today I just wanted to go over some replays involving Cyber Dragons in this new format, so let's just get started. So let's start off the replay with Branded, which is actually a deck that I play myself as well. So, they're going to start off with the Fusion deployment, and our hand is actually not amazing because we have some board breakers, but we have no way to actually do our own play. So he's gonna go with the Branded Fusion line of play. Go into Albion, go into Lubellion, and then also Chain Cartesia. So you might as well make most out of that body there. Go into Gragnol, get that Gimmick Puppet there, and then also the Lubellion. You have the Sanctifier for the Gimmick Lock play as well. So that's pretty decent. So here now we're going to start off with the Feather Duster, which honestly is pretty decent. He is able to chain Branded Red, but now fortunately for us he also chains Sanctifier, so we can just chain Droplet and get the most out of that Feather Duster as well. He doesn't have any Mirror Drain or anything, so he's still going to get a Luber, which we'll get him with Branded Fusion. We're going to draw 2 and just hope for the best, and we draw Engage, which is really good, and it can just really steamroll from here because we get an additional draw now, and drawing Thrust is just game over at this point. And here we're just baiting out that Drago, the Widow Anchor, so the Engage becomes dead because now we're gonna have a monster in the main monster zone, but it's okay. We got what we needed out of that. So Core will now search, and then also Thrust gets us the Machine Dupe, and that's why Thrust is so good for any blind second decks. And at this point, we're pretty much got this in the bag. Ideally, I probably should have just Contact Fuse away everything and then just suck up the Drago Superior to be a safer play in case I somehow don't kill my opponent here. But fortunately, we are able to defeat them, so Contact Fusion is pretty strong. So now let's move on to Rescue Ace, which of course is one of the newer strategies post-Duelist Nexus, and it's a deck that I personally don't know too much about yet, but I will do kind of like that survey video of the Rescue Ace players eventually at some point this month, which you can also check out from Mannadium and Purrely players that I've already done on my channel. So the Droll, somehow I guess it worked, so we are going to have some kind of OTK playline available, although he is able to summon some bodies on board. But fortunately for us, some of the Rescue Ace monsters are actually machine, such as the Fire Engine, so we can just Contact Fuse for that Fortress. We also free up the zone just to kind of stop from that effect from triggering. Khmer Rampage is pretty nice. I don't know why he chained that realistically. So I guess we get a body on board. So that was really quick, but let's move on to another Rescue Ace replay. So of course we can't get off that easily, so we are going to go against Rescue Ace yet again. So he's going to start off with the HQ 1-for-1. That'd be nice to Ash, I guess, at least in general. But Ashing on Emergency I hear is also quite impactful against this strategy, kind of similar to like Ashing on Branded Fusion really. So we do have Alert here now. So this deck is pretty interesting because the whole set for it has a lot of different interruptions. They have like a pop, they have a negate, they have like a Book of Moon. They also trigger a lot when you like activate monster effects or summon rather, for example. So pretty interesting. Also seeing Sunlight Wolf is kind of interesting. Seeing some form of Salad support. At least there's some Salad cards doing well right now, I guess. So Heat Leo, or rather, sorry, not Heat Leo, Heat Soul is gonna help him draw. We have some decent ways to break boards here. So we have the Cyber Dragon. He's gonna try to pop. We might as well get rid of it for Duality, and then have the Khmer Rampage. It's gonna die anyways. So although the Contain to negate on the Khmer Rampage is actually pretty decent. He's also going to get the special, but we do have that Clockwork Knight active now, so we can just Contact Fuse everything for a very big Fortress. And so he does have the Fire Engine, but if we're not special summoning, I guess that's okay. So we just Contact Fuse it for another Fortress. So that's why you need at least 2 Fortresses, especially when you're playing Clockwork Knight. Can really lead to easy OTKs and also a good grind game. So now let's move on to Mannadium, which supposed to be was one of the better decks, but I guess the hype has kind of died down, at least for now. But who knows, maybe once regional starts it'll do really well. And you can certainly check out a survey video I did of the Mannadium players. That's something where I basically asked what they thought the key strengths of this deck, some of the best hand traps and board breakers and floodgates that are very good against this strategy, and a bunch of other things. So you can certainly go check that out. I'll have that link down below. So anyways, lots of special summoning. So he's going to be able to go into Dispatter. Usually they also end on something like, let's say, Barone as well as Appaloosa, and the counter trap reframing, as long as they have a synchro monster, essentially serves as an Omni Negate, which is very strong. I think archetype counter traps are usually pretty nice to have. And I was saying how tier 1 decks probably should not have a counter trap. Is this deck tier 1? Maybe not anymore. Maybe it's actually still in the tier 2 strategy. The Dispatter is also going to be able to summon and then now it goes into new card Armatara, which can you typically add just like another way to get to the counter trap, but he also has Bish Balkan. I don't really understand this line of play too much. I know this can be used for like the whole FTK, like, you know, the Crimson Dragon and going into Calamity, but I guess this board isn't doing that. We do have Clockwork Knight, which fortunately resolves, which is kind of big. Although keep in mind, you cannot contact fuse away with tokens because they cannot go to grave, or yeah. So and then, but we get to go into dark with the tokens, which is nice. And the Dispatter gets us also another monster, and then the Naxir can just special summon a bunch of stuff. So we do take this for now, but let's just move on to another Mannadium replay. Okay, so moving on to game 2 or 3 with the Mannadium player. He's going to start off with the Terraformer. We're of course always going to try to go second with the strategy, which can be kind of ballsy if you're going against like an FTK Calamity Lock strategy, but it looks like the majority of Mannadium players are not actually doing that, especially if you watch that survey video I did. You know, less than half of Mannadium players, at least in that small sample size, were saying that, you know, they're actually not doing that play, and I think that's kind of fair. And so yeah, so keep that in mind. Armatara can get ooh, okay, that's pretty interesting. I don't know if I really see that in Mannadium list in terms of playing the tier planet. We do have Scareclaw, so they can get the Scareclaw field spell, gets us the Mirai card. We do Nibiru here. I don't really want to get hit with like a Barone. Astrolaud can pop though. It's pretty good for in-engine, like going second. Board break as well. They have the counter trap, which is dead, and the one Imperm, which is, you know, can be actually pretty deadly against Cyber Dragons, unfortunately, just because of the whole machine dupe thing and just not being considered Cyber Dragon anymore. We do bait out that Imperm though with the Anima, so that's kind of nice. We have the talents. We can just take away the Astrolaud and just kind of attack over there. 21. Unfortunately, we just go into dark. We cannot summon the Astrolaud, unfortunately. I guess it's not considered properly summoned, so we can only, this was the only viable target, which is not great, but you know, at least we got something out of that. So he's gonna attack over his own guy. At least, fortunately, he doesn't have much to go with. Unfortunately, we don't either, because we can't really bait this out too much. There's not much monster effects being activated. The Imperm is pretty nice, not gonna lie. I did think about, should I contact fuse into like Mega Fleet? The problem is it still wasn't gonna be game, so you know, there wasn't really much point to that. So unfortunately, we have to just kind of pass here, but at least they don't have too much to work with. So we do unfortunately take it there. So next we are going up against Purrely, and this is another deck that I recently did a survey on of the Purrely players in terms of, you know, their key strengths, the best cards to side against. So I think it's a really strong deck. This deck is definitely in tier 1 contention right now, probably like the second best deck after Kashira. So he's going to start with the My Friend Purrely just to be able to add. So this deck has crazy amount of grind game and consistency. They do have to kind of start with like neg 1 with all their quick plays requiring a discard, but you know what, it's kind of nice when you can just draw so many times on the opponent's turn too at that. And so he does have the 2 smaller cats and gets to add the Happy Memory. Also goes, this card's played pretty decently as well. And then now Purrely can, all of the cats really can kind of add as you play the quick play, and so this is actually pretty decent. He can go, and this is also why I kind of upped the kaiju count just for that Purrely Noir matchup, although they do get to kind of recover with the My Friend Purrely. And fortunately for us, they put in the extra monster zone, which means we don't even have to use a kaiju because we can just contact fuse it away. He should have probably spun that around, but we did have another Cyber Dragon, but again, that spin is not once per turn, so he can keep doing it. But I don't think he was too scared, because he, like, I mean, he already has like 7 cards in hand. He's going to be able to just destroy us really over the grind game. We are trying our best though. Comrade Tech Rampage, trying to send Hers Core. We do add the core back, and we still have our normal summon, so we're going to add the core. This is where, you know, also if you like main deck Cybernetic Overflow, for example, we're in a grindy situation. That's where it's very good. We could have OTK'd if it wasn't for that Book of Moon, of course. We were not getting off that easily, but you know what, at least we kind of had a chance. Duality to add back and draw is always kind of nice as well. The Purrely is able to kind of reshuffle their resources. Fortunately, they don't get to like draw as well, because usually a lot of cards that let you shuffle back, you do at least get to draw one, but thankfully this card is not that busted. So we're going to start with the My Friend Purrely again. Just so much advantage, this deck. You know, it's just really the turn 1, as long as you can kind of set that thing up, you're just going to have to draw so much and recover a lot of your resources. And Plump is the really big booty one that can get you into that very fat Purrely Noir. And you can probably be able to spin multiple times and still have enough materials to be unaffected. Beauty is also very nice, and then just being able to also suck up the materials, pretty crazy. This is kind of like that Imperm as well. And I don't think I've seen a point where you have so many materials that the cards start sticking out into the side here. So that's kind of funny. He's going to have to suck up again, and we're not dead yet, but you know, again, this is kind of hard to out. And then of course end phases can attach another material. We do top deck the Kaiju, which is not terrible, but they're just able to draw so many cards. We do have the core special summon, and we also get rid of the big X Purrely Noir. He's going to be able to recover resources though, so we really have to be able to kill. Unfortunately, I don't think we can really get that with the hand and the advantage that we have. So Naxxer, I bring back the Cyber Dragon because I didn't want to get Imprim there. We're going to use Nova's effective special. We'll just suck up the Jizakuru, and then we go into Zeus, and I do make a misplay here though, because I mistakenly thought, or rather I completely forgot I already used Naxxer's effect to special Cyber Dragon earlier turn, because I was going to summon Infinity just so we have a negate on top of another send, but of course it's not going to be that easy, so I did make that misplay here. So let's just move on to the next one. So let's cover some rogue decks, which is Marincess, which honestly, it actually did top the Remote Duel Extravaganza, and definitely don't sleep on it. It's a rogue deck that's been getting a consistent number of tops throughout the last half year or so. Very kind of like combo-oriented strategy. Their end board is not necessarily massive, but they do play a lot of hand traps, or rather can play a lot of hand traps, and they can also play that trap from their hand, usually if they have the right link material. So, you know, it's sneaky good, so definitely don't sleep on this. Coral Anemone, basically a lot of summoning, and also being able to add as well. This can essentially add that trap that I was talking about that can activate from hand, essentially serves as an imperm and also protects their card. I didn't think Marincess players were playing Crystal Heart anymore. I don't know, maybe this is an exception or maybe they're going back to it. Someone let me know. They do draw an Ash again. They do play a lot of hand traps. We are able to get that thrust live. This serves. We did this. We knew it was unaffected, but we did this because we want to get enough spells into the grave for that Kagariad, just so that we can actually start drawing now. Unfortunately, it did get met with an Ash, but maybe I shouldn't say unfortunately, because it does serve as a very easy bait for Ash. We can contact fuse away. Which is Cyber Dragons actually have had quite a good matchup against Marincess since Marincess is released, just with that contact fusing mechanic. And so we do kind of have game here. We don't want to use Overload Fusion yet, just in case we get Nibiru'd, but we didn't. So you know what? It's pretty good. So we are able to just sort of take game from here. Now another rogue strategy that I don't think it's really seeing that much play, especially in terms of like regional tops even, is Dogmatika, which can really extra deck rip. And this one playing Secret Village, which, I mean, oh, okay, well that top deck hers really helps because Anima is a spellcaster. Otherwise, we just instantly scoop with that, because especially my build plays a ton of spells, and Cyber Dragons typically play a lot as well. They summoned the Fleur, I guess, only because they wanted to summon that Dragoon. We are playing Clockwork, and I was hoping he would negate this instead so I could get that engage draw live. So unfortunately, we're going to have to take it a little slow, and we're going to talents and just kind of poke things from there. And then we're just going to go into Dark, and then Dark. Unfortunately, we cannot summon Dragoon. It was not summoned, fusion summoned properly because of it was summoned off Duality, which is unfortunate. Otherwise, that would have been really strong. The good thing is Dark is still a spellcaster, and now if they don't have a spellcaster, they actually cannot use spells. So they kind of get locked by their own cards sometimes, but most likely they play a lot of spellcasters. They're just going to get to it. So fortunately, from here, we do take it. And finally, let's just finish it off with a replay against Dragon Link. And against this deck, you know, as long as you can kind of like break their board, you don't necessarily have to OTK if you do manage to draw a Clockwork Knight, just because this card is actually quite deadly against Dragon Link. They really do need their typing to go into like their links and their strategy. This card is also very good against something like Flunder as well. So, you know, they have, I mean, I'm not sure how to feel about their hand really, because we do also have Nib. And the Eradicator can be very strong against this particular build, especially with the Sky Striker cards, because we're playing a lot of spells. Of course, we're going to Nib here so he doesn't get that negate, and that Eradicator will likely just become dead. He does have the Droll, so fortunately for us, they didn't start off very well. So we are going to just crash in just so we can at least play engage and just have some, because our hand's not that good otherwise, realistically. We do get hit with the Droll, which honestly doesn't matter. We were not going to be able to really search much anyways. And then Hornet Drones, and we're just going to go into Dark and just get the Savage. Of course, it's not going to have that negate because there's nothing to like equip it with, especially it has to be, you know, when it's like Synchro summoned. But Clockwork Knight, again, it's very strong against Dragon Link, and they are going to have our time without any back removal, and we can keep summoning, and then next turn we are going to be able to just go for game. Okay guys, so that was it for the Cyber Dragon replays post Duelist Nexus format. Hopefully you found that enjoyable. You know, this deck honestly is not in the most terrible spot anymore in this format. I think it definitely has some potential, so I'm really excited to continue to play it in this format. So anyways, thank you all for watching. A big thanks to my Patreons as usual for the continued support, and well, take care guys.